So, you want to learn more about the most important touristic neighborhoods in the city of Porto. Well, the main touristic neighborhood, the most important one, really the most famous, would have to be the Ribeira. Ribeira, I've heard English-speaking tourists referring to it as the riverside. Ribeira is a Portuguese word. The ri at the start comes from rio, which means river, and beira is a Portuguese word that means near to or close to. So really close to the river. Um, it is iconic for several reasons. It contains a lot of old historical-looking buildings, very, very typical of the city. It is located next to several landmarks and monuments like the Ponte Dom Luís. Really, the official name is the Ponte Dom Luís I. It was made in honor of a Portuguese king, Louis I. There's also the remains of the Maria I suspension bridge, which is close to where the tragedy of the Ponte das Barcas happened. That was something that happened during the Napoleonic Wars. There are also some of the remains of the Fernandina Wall, which was an important medieval fortification built under the orders of King Ferdinand I of Portugal. The other reason why the Ribeira is well known and famous is because of all the restaurants there. They serve a typical Portuense food, not just Portuguese food, but food typical to the city of Porto. That would be the tripas, which is um, a bit of a strange meal. It's literally the entrails of a pig. They are cleaned out, obviously, and cooked with beans and some other meats and vegetables, and also the francesinha. The francesinha is a very iconic meal of the city of Porto. It is basically this huge sandwich full of all types of meat covered in cheese, which is then cooked, and the cheese melts into the bread, and then it's served in a plate surrounded by sauce, this red orange spicy sauce, and covered in the French fries. It's delicious. The name is supposed to be ironic. Francesinha in Portuguese means little French girl, so it gives you this idea of like a small, delicate, young French woman, when in reality the Francesinha is this big, heavy, greasy, not so delicate looking meal, which yeah, it doesn't look very refined or very delicate. It's also certainly not a light meal. It's very heavy. It's generally consumed with pop soda or beer, and after the meal is done, tourists generally knock down a good old glass of port wine. Speaking of which, port wine is very iconic to the city. um, and in the Ribeira, you can see across the river the wine cellars of the city of Gaia, where they are kept. A lot of the more important brands have their cellars there, like Sandman, pronounced with an E, Taylor's and Croft, a lot of others really. You can see all the neon signs from across the river. You can also see the old river boats that were used to carry the barrels. Nowadays, they mostly carry tourists who want to see the sights around the river or take a tour under all the bridges. Um, yeah, that's about it. Peace out.